This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Twitter.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a weekly movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show each episode. You can find back episodes at ovpodcast.com, find the blog at obsessiveviewer.com, and you can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer. Tiny, how's it going?
It's going wonderful, sir.
Nice. Do you want to try the guy? I don't know if you had the mic up to you as you started talking. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's going wonderful.
Great. That's great.
Yep.
What are you doing April 15th? Saturday, April 15th, I awkwardly ask.
Paying my taxes.
Oh, well, you know,
tax day.
You could also pay me a visit this is my fumbling way to announce that I'm going to be hosting a panel at Indiana Comic Con.
What?
Yeah, on April 15th at 6:30 p.m. at the convention center for Indiana Comic Con.
Eat your heart out, IRS.
I know, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
No, the panel is just going to be, it's a 1 hour panel about hosting a solo podcast. I'm going to be talking about hosting a solo podcast and how you can, I don't know, get over your mental worries about it to do it. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. And I want people to be there, and I want people to show up to see me completely screw up.
I'll be there, man.
Yay! Awesome.
I got it in my calendar.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. I believe Fecus said that he was going to be there too. I'm going to hold him to that. But yeah, that's April 15th, 2017 at 6:30 p.m. Download the Indiana Comic Con app. They have the schedule for everything on there. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope to see people there. And before we get into the episode, though, I have to mention also that we have our episode sponsor this week again. Again, it's Horror Movie Yearbook from the Midwest Podcast Network. You can find them at HM Yearbook on Twitter and at horrormovieyearbook.com. It's a wonderful podcast where they basically go through 1 year each episode, and they pick 3 horror movies from that year, and then they discuss them and contextualize them to the greater current events and pop culture events of that year. Their recent episode was 1998, which was a stellar year for horror movies. They reviewed Disturbing Behavior, Urban Legend, and The Faculty. And between each of these reviews, they have like fun little interludes and stuff, and little games that they do in between them. So it's a really fun podcast. I highly recommend checking it out. Again, that's at HM Yearbook and at horrormovieyearbook.com. And also thank you, Horror Movie Yearbook and Midwest Podcast Network, for sponsoring us this week. And let's see, so this is our 203rd episode, Tiny. We are doing Netflix picks.
Totes.
Yes, and before we do that, every time, I always announce the title before the news.
That's okay, keep people on their toes.
Yeah. We have a few news things to kind of go through. The first one I kind of want to just throw out here. They announced, Indie PopCon announced that they are going to be doing podcast awards at this year's Indie PopCon in July. And I'm thinking maybe we should submit to it. Maybe,
Totes.
When there's more details there.
Totes magoats.
Yes. I'll have to find an episode where you don't say that. Just kidding.
Why?
Because,
it's good enough for James Earl Jones. It's good enough for me.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't understand that reference.
Really? You don't remember that commercial where he said that it was like Verizon or something?
No, I don't remember
He's
that.
like reciting text messages. You don't remember that?
No.
It's
I thought
hilarious.
you were making I thought maybe Darth Vader said that in one of the Star Wars.
How dare you, sir?
Well, anything's fair game now, because he did say that he did have that really goofy pun in Rogue One.
He did have a pun. Yeah.
Anyway, so we're recording this a week before we release it because last week's episode I actually didn't have time to edit it, so that's gonna. Anyway, we're recording this a week, the Tuesday after the Super Bowl. I had to pause and think about that.
Yeah.
About what it was.
Which, speaking of that, I can no longer see the word Super Bowl and not pronounce it Superb Owl.
Oh, all the time.
Because
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost posted something like, what is so damn superb about this owl that everyone's talking about? But I didn't want to steal credit for your joke.
For my joke?
Yeah, you came up with that.
Did I? Oh, yeah. Wow.
You came up with that, yeah.
Oh.
Because I remember when you told me about it, I laughed way too hard.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Huh.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think the world had that joke.
Oh, really?
Too.
Okay.
I don't know.
You introduced me to it.
I did. So. Well, I thought of it, but I didn't. Anyway.
Take credit.
Okay. Yeah. So I invented the Super Bowl. And, so Tiny, you watched the Super Bowl.
Sure did.
I watched what I'm going to bring up for Potpourri during it.
Nice.
So why don't you talk about some of the things that you went gaga over?
Hey.
Or some of the I don't know. I fumbled that. What were some of the any good commercials? Any good trailers? I know we were going to talk about one specific trailer. We can go to that if you want.
Yeah. It was a really good game. First overtime ever for a Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah, first one
wow.
ever. First ever overtime.
Huh.
Largest deficit ever overcome in a Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
It was a really exciting game. It genuinely was. So that was good. Yeah, that's always a good thing. Unfortunately, I mean, it's a good thing that the game was good because the commercials really weren't that great.
Really? That's a bummer.
Yeah, not much memorable stuff going on. There was a funny one with Melissa McCarthy. It's a Kia commercial. I think. Yeah, that one was funny. But I mean, there wasn't that much memorable stuff really. Huh. One of the trailers was an extended trailer for the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie, the fifth one. Mm-hmm. They finally showed Jack Sparrow. Whoop-de-doo.
Is that the fifth one?
It's the fifth one.
The fifth one. Okay.
It actually looks kind of cool. But
does it?
I'm not going to hold my breath.
I haven't seen it since the third one.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I never saw the fourth one either. So, so there was that. That was memorable, I guess. But then the trailer that I think everybody lost their shit over was for the second season of Stranger Things.
Yeah,
that was really awesome. They started it out with like a retro Lego My Ego commercial.
I thought that was so great.
It's really awesome.
Oh yeah,
so cannot wait for that.
Same here, and yeah, they announced that it's going to be released on Halloween, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, 9 months.
Yeah, so. It's something, baby. I don't know.
What?
I don't know. Something about if you conceive now, you can have a baby that'll watch Stranger Things. I don't know.
Jeez, I haven't heard that, but that's pretty sad.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Oh,
I was just saying that as a stupid joke.
Oh.
Yeah, people online weren't saying that because they're not stupid enough to make that dumb joke. No, but it's coming out on Halloween, so I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely, obviously, a good Halloween type of show.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Stranger Things 2. And finally, on a sad note, Richard Hatch from Battlestar Galactica. He played Apollo in the original series, and Tom Selleck in the remake.
Yeah.
He actually passed away today at the time of this recording.
Yeah.
Obviously. So that's pretty sad. I think I mentioned last week that I've been watching. Did I mention that on the Extended Potpourri?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of Battlestar Galactica lately, and he's a really good presence in it.
Yeah, his character is awesome.
Yeah, I really like his character, and his character interactions with other characters is really great. He has a really great presence there. So,
yep.
Unfortunately, he passed away today, February 7th. He passed away today. So that's sad. So, Tiny, any thoughts on Richard Hatch?
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, I think he made most of his bacon in television. Mm-hmm. He did like tons of television, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with his career, but he was just he was pretty prolific, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And he definitely had a love for Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
He wrote, directed, and starred in his own Battlestar Galactica fan film.
Wow.
Back before the reboot. Called The Second Coming, in which he reunited all the surviving original Battlestar Galactica cast members.
Damn.
So that's pretty cool. He also wrote books in the Battlestar Galactica universe. So that's really nice. I like when actors or people in the industry really latch on to one of their roles or
right,
and really own it and really take part in the fandom, essentially.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, R.I.P. Richard Hatch.
Yep.
So this week on the podcast, we are doing another Netflix picks. Last week on the podcast, we picked the movies that we were going to discuss. And, Tiny, do you want to go first?
I would love to go first.
Okay. And to refresh everyone's memory, I picked for him to watch Victoria, which I lobbied for that, or I wanted him to see it because it was on my top 10 list of 2015, and I was just really enamored with this movie, and I was really excited for Tiny to see it, and I wanted him to see it because I knew that he has an affinity for the long take.
Yeah.
And that's what the conceit of the movie is. It's one continuous shot throughout its entire runtime. Like It's not like Birdman where they make little edits here and there. It's one continuous take. And so I was excited to share that with him. I made sure to tell Tiny not to read anything, not to read the plot description, not to read anything at all, going as blind as possible, and as such we're going to be as non-spoilery as possible in this. So Tiny, what did you think of Victoria?
It was okay.
Nice.
It was okay. Yeah. I the continuous take thing is a massive achievement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the logistics of it are just like mind-bogglingly hard. Like as a director, someone trying to figure that out, and just, like I can't even imagine what the actors go through, literally just having to say, I mean, that's just incredible that someone can do that for more than 2 hours, continue a performance. That's just really impressive.
Right.
So it gets tons of points from me in that regard. That was really impressive. And hats off to Sebastian Schipper, the director. I mean, it was one camera too. Like there's no cuts or anything. Right. It's not like they switched between cameras or anything. Mm-hmm. So that was just impressive. His vision in that respect. I was just really impressed with that. And then also the story itself, which I'm not going to spoil anything, but the story itself is a really good story. Mm-hmm. Just all the aspects of it. I mean, the fact that it kind of takes place in one evening, obviously, because it's one continuous take. And just the stakes of it, and I don't know. It has really. It's hard to talk about without spoiling it. So,
yeah.
But my qualm with it is the fact that I feel like this story does not fit the format.
Okay.
Because the story needs you have to have foundation for the story to work. Okay. You have to have a foundation of a relationship between two characters. And so you have to show that. But showing it in real time, I think, just really drags it out. Because it requires two characters to meet each other. Mm-hmm. Or a set of characters to meet each other, really. And then there has to be a bond that's founded, and that relationship has to found a bond, if you will. Mm-hmm. And you have to do it in real time, and you can't just... So it's not something you can do in 10 minutes.
Right.
Or 15 minutes.
So you don't feel like they... Would you say that you
qualm is that was drug out so long.
Okay, that it took them meeting and the interactions and the chemistry being drug out too long?
Yes.
Really?
Which
okay.
It was well done. The performances were great.
Mm-hmm.
And I even liked the dialogue and all that stuff. It was good. It was just an hour long.
Okay.
It just took way too long before we knew what the story was.
I see.
And I really lost my patience after about 35 or 40 minutes. I was like, when is something going to happen? So that really bothered me. But I will give the conceit that I don't think there's any way around it.
Right.
I think that first hour, while it's drug out and really long, it has to be, because you have to buy that relationship as a viewer. Mm-hmm. It has to be well established, and you have to understand where the characters are coming from and why they would make the decisions that they do in the last hour plus of the movie.
Okay.
So it has to be in there, but I feel like this story would have been served better by a movie that was not filmed in one continuous take.
Okay.
That's my thoughts. I think this could have been a super cool movie even without the one continuous take thing.
Okay.
So
did you, when it got to the point where, and I understand where you're coming from. Yes, it is. I mean, it does take a while to get going. Mm-hmm. I personally was kind of really engaged with what was going on, just because I was kind of gobsmacked by just the achievement that was unfolding. Mm-hmm. Because the entire movie could have been them wandering around, getting to know each other, and like, there's a part I'm a little fuzzy on. I didn't get a chance to rewatch it, but there's a part where she's playing the piano. Yeah. That at that moment I was kind of like, okay, I'm kind of feeling this. This is kind of sweet, kind of nice. And then the movie takes a different goes into a different direction. Yes. That I just think that it wasn't what I was expecting it to
really?
be. Yeah. Did you have any? How'd you feel about? So okay, you felt that the first half was kind of slow and meandering. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. How'd you feel about the last half without going into details?
That's where, I mean, it took off from there. The scene you're talking about with the piano, I was a big fan of that too. I thought that was a really beautiful scene, and that pulled me back in right at the right time, because they had kind of lost my patience up to that point. And really, there's like 6 main characters in the movie, and so one of the characters meets all the rest, and it kind of takes off from there. And so, but the relationship involves one of the group and kind of our lead meeting each other and forming a relationship. Yeah. And so
it's a meet cute.
Yeah. And the problem is he has his 4 drunk asshole buddies with him. And so the meet cute is kind of extended and drawn out, because she's not just meeting him, she's meeting all his friends too. And it's like they kind of get in the way of the blossoming of their relationship and all that stuff. And so it's kind of, I'm glad they were there and everything. Like, I think it makes sense, but I think that's what really drug it out and made it less accessible, because the scene
it's a little bit of an obstruction.
It's an obstruction, yeah. The scene you're talking about with the piano, they're finally alone together, right? In that, and so that's when it really took off for me. I really loved how like charming and like Casanova like the male lead was in those scenes. That part really pulled me back in. Yeah, because I really got to see their chemistry. That was really impressive. So, but then I'm glad that moment pulled me in, because after that it just takes off, and it's very intense, and there's lots of really good camera work getting in and out of cars, and I mean it's just like, again, the logistics of it are impressive. Yeah. So the back half of the movie, loved it. It's not that I hated the first part. It's just so dragged out. I love the back half of the movie where all the meat is, I guess, as far as plot anyways. It was super exciting. I knew that there was going to have to be something extreme that happened. I was thinking that there was going to be something very negative or tumultuous or dangerous that was going to happen to the lead. Like, I thought maybe these guys were gonna rob her, or worse. Let your imagination go where it will. I thought it was going to be something really bad like that, but I really like the direction they took it, and because we're kind of discovering what's happening along with the lead of the lead of the story, and so as she figures it out, what's going on, I love the way that she reacts to it, and how she throws herself into this situation. That's not what I was expecting. When I finally figured out what was happening, I was like, wow, she's really doing this. Right. That was good idea, and I think it worked really well, and that's what really roped me into the last half. If it were just the last half of the movie, and a shortened 15-minute version of the first hour, I would be really enthusiastic about the movie. I would have absolutely loved it.
Nice.
But so yeah, in summation, there's a lot of good things to like about the movie. The performances, the format's impressive, but I just feel like, the story could have been told better with a different format.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still a good movie though. I want people to watch it. I think it's I'll watch just about any movie that has a long continuous take in it.
Right.
It's one of my favorite filming techniques. I think it's cool. So yeah, I think I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
One of the things that I kind of thought about after seeing it the one time that I saw it is, not only is it impressive in terms of just the fact that it's a 2 hour and 18-minute long movie and it's all one continuous shot. Yeah. Like, not only is that impressive, but if you think about, like, to achieve that and the distance that they go, because it's not like they're in one setting and they're interacting with each other. What they're doing is, it's a very kind of guerrilla style filmmaking thing where the camera is following them. So you have, like, the person operating the camera has to run along with them.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, just like, what's amazing to me is that it takes place at night and it gradually turns into day. And what's amazing to me is that, like, just the thought of it boggles the mind, because if you think of how a film is conventionally made, it's lit. The scene is set, everything is all set up correctly and to the director's specifications. The DP fixes the lighting and everything. There's not, they're running around with it. Like, they didn't stop to set up, like, the lighting in certain scenes, and it's really incredible to me how they could achieve what they did the way that they did it.
Yeah, thinking about it, I just counted in my head. I think there's 8 locations they film at.
That sounds about right.
And there's transit in between all those. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I agree. It's the exact opposite of just taking place in one location. Right. They go to 8 different places, and it's really, I was impressed by that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I liked the way that, like you, Tiny, I liked the way that the story progressed throughout it and in that second half. It's the first half and second half, they are like night and day.
Yeah, they are. Enough. Yeah.
But I loved it. I really loved it. So I'm cool. Glad that you saw it, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I might try to revisit it someday to see if I have a different reaction to it. Mm-hmm. You told me not to look into it at all. Okay. Not to read anything about it. I almost may have enjoyed it more.
Oh, really?
If I had known, like, the plot going in. Yeah.
Huh.
Just because I was sitting there, I was like, is the whole movie just these two people meeting? Is that what the whole movie? I wasn't sure,
Oh, that reminds me of a stupid bit from Family Guy where, I think it was Family Guy, where Peter's in a one-man show, or he's in the audience of a one-man show. Was it Family Guy? I don't know. In something, they're like, is it just people yelling? And like, they show like the playbill, and it says just people yelling. And it was people yelling on stage. But
that's ridiculous.
That's so stupid. But anyway, so that's good. And I've heard that I think they did it 4 times.
Really?
And that was the 3rd take.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then, in the event that it wouldn't have worked, the director shot their rehearsals conventionally. Yeah. That's the right word, right?
Yeah.
Conventionally. Yeah. He shot their rehearsals conventionally, and they he was going to have, like, in the event that they couldn't nail down the long continuous shot, he was going to edit together the rehearsals to be a conventionally shot movie.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I'm glad that they pulled it off, though, because I think that it is an experience that people should check out, and it is on Netflix, and that's why it is one of our Netflix picks.
Yep, they did pull it off, absolutely.
Yeah.
4 times.
Yeah, I think it was 4 times. I know that was the third take, though.
Jeez, I can't imagine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because the movie's over 2 hours, and so it's literally a 2-hour take. I mean, that just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, Victoria, check it out.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So Tiny, why don't you bring us into what I watched and stuff?
Yeah, I chose because Matt made the comment in our last episode that he's going to try to be more politically informed in 2017. Yeah.
As scary and terrifying as that is.
Going to hold you to that.
Yeah.
No. But so because of that, I chose for him, oh gosh, what's his name? Oh,
Armando
Iannucci.
Yeah.
Yeah. I chose Armando Iannucci's film In the Loop.
Yes, you did. When was the last time you saw this movie?
Oh gosh, I really wanted to watch it for this episode, but I completely did not have time. I was out of town all weekend.
Gotcha.
I probably watched it in like 2010 or 2011.
Okay.
After it came out, yeah.
For those who are unaware, the plot description is a political satire about a group of skeptical American and British operatives attempting to prevent a war between two countries. So I watched this and I really enjoyed it quite a bit. I had an interesting / somewhat stupid experience on my part. The movie kind of blew my mind and made me feel like a complete idiot. The first 10 minutes, I was sitting here and I was thinking, damn, this is really cool. It feels like it could be a TV show. And then I thought, the feel of this really reminds me of Veep. I really need to watch more Veep. And then I took a moment to look up the movie and everything, and turns out, yes, it is the spinoff of, I think it's more of a pseudo spinoff of Armando Iannucci's show, The Thick of It, which also has Peter Capaldi in it. And also Armando Iannucci was the creator and showrunner for a while. I believe that he left the show of Veep.
Yep.
So that made me feel kind of dumb.
I totally thought you knew that.
I think I knew that it had some connection to a show, like in terms of The Thick of It,
right? But
I didn't. I had a complete brain fart, and then while I was looking that up, like after I made this discovery of the connection between In the Loop, The Thick of It, and Veep, Anna Chlumsky popped up. I think I'm pronouncing her name.
Yeah, Anna Chlumsky.
On it, yeah, and I'm just like, of course, I'm an idiot. But no, I really enjoyed this movie. The style of it is, like I said, it reminded me of Veep, obviously. It's a very workplace comedy, handheld camera, not mockumentary style, but just close to mockumentary style. Mm-hmm. Kind of like, I almost said Christopher Guest, but that's more mockumentary than anything. But just the handheld camera style of it is just very much kind of you're there with them throughout it. It's kind of a fly on the wall kind of thing, and the comedy in it is really strong. I really liked it. Peter Capaldi, of course, kind of was the star of the show.
Yeah.
There, he's fantastic as the kind of very vulgar, crass, vulgar, intimidating.
Yeah.
I believe he's the communications director, I think.
Right.
But he's phenomenal in it. Absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, I don't really know what else to really say about it. It's just the way that the movie kind of lives in itself. It has a very improvised style to it. I believe that a lot of it was improvised. And you can kind of feel that, not in a negative way. It's just very natural, and the back and forths are very much personality driven, and and very much driven by, interpersonal relationships rather than, script necessities.
Right.
And everything. And it's really good. It's really solid. I liked it. And it made me really want to check out The Thick of It and get back into Veep, which The Thick of It is on Hulu and Veep is on Amazon Prime and HBO Go.
Right.
Yeah, Tiny, do you have any thoughts on it from when you saw it?
Yeah, I just remember thinking how hard it is to film satire.
Mm-hmm.
It's so difficult to do, and there are so few examples of it working really well. And this is absolutely one of the examples of it working really well.
Mm-hmm.
It also has kind of some similar themes or feel to the movie Wag the Dog.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of about politicians, bureaucracies, and political egos and stuff like that. It's it has some similar themes to that. So that was a really well received movie as well. Yeah, I remember liking Tom Hollander as is he the Prime Minister? Or is he like an MP or something?
I think he is an MP or
okay.
Yeah, he's not the prime. I don't believe he's the prime minister. I think he's a high level.
Gotcha. But yeah, he's kind of like dumb, isn't he? Or he's like he just doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah,
basically,
he has these really brilliantly written gaffes essentially. So like the whole impetus of the whole movie is that he's on a radio talk show, I think, and he's talking about. He's asked about like a potential war with the Middle East, and he says that it's unforeseeable, and that kicks off a whole like thing of like they're saying that it's it's unforeseeable is the same as inevitable, and he just digs himself into a deeper hole. There's a great scene where he is kind of bombarded by press outside of and he makes it such a great analogy where he says we have to climb the mountain of conflict, which is terrible, and like he mixes up a metaphor so terribly, and that's like the soundbite that comes out of it. It's he was really fantastic at playing the kind of bumbling idiot, essentially.
I've always been a fan of Tom Hollander. He's kind of a character actor, but he's great. Yeah, I need to see it again. I should have watched it for this episode, but I just literally didn't have time. So,
gotcha.
Cool. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I did. And have you watched any of The Thick of It or Veep?
I haven't watched The Thick of It. I watched a handful of episodes of Veep.
Okay,
and it was good, but satire is one of those things you have to be in the right frame of mind to watch it, and
that's true.
It's a comedy, so you're like, oh, it's just a half-hour comedy. Just turn it on and watch it. But it's not like turning on Friends or The Big Bang Theory or something. It's intelligent. You have to have your mind switched on for it.
Yeah, so it's a little more involved,
right? And so I think for that reason, I watched like some of the first season, and at the time I was watching so much television that I decided to put it on the back burner. But
yeah, that's kind of how I am. Like that's a show that I really need to sit down and just marathon, for sure. But I'll get to that eventually. I'm still doing. What was it? Battlestar Galactica, The Next Generation.
I'm gonna try to sit down and watch the episodes of the 12th Doctor, Pete Capaldi.
Yeah,
they're on Amazon Prime. I need to get on there and watch them. I haven't watched any of them yet.
Yeah, same here. I actually have a funny anecdote about that, and I mean, to wrap up in the loop. Also, James Gandolfini, I thought was fantastic.
He was good.
I miss that guy.
He was kind of like a lighthearted, like he's a general, but he's kind of like lighthearted or kind of like not taking it very seriously, if I remember correctly.
Right, and people don't necessarily take him that seriously.
Right.
It's pretty solid. He was really good in it. And so to kind of wrap up in the loop, to loop it around back to that.
Hey.
No, I liked it quite a bit, and it makes me very interested to see more of Iannucci's stuff.
Nice.
Yep. And it's a great like getting my feet warm. Wait, dipping my feet into kind of political satire, and fun stuff like that. Because I really I need to watch Veep and not satire, but I want to get back into West Wing.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's our Netflix picks.
Nice.
We're kind of, I don't know, we're kind of a little light on this one, for that, but that's fine. And before we go to Potpourri, here is another check-in from Mike, for his Pine Tree Perfume segment. Mike is our co-host who's on sabbatical from the podcast, but he likes to check in every now and then with a movie that he watches in the theater on his movie nights. So here is his latest for Mike's Pine Tree Perfume.
Listen up, this will only take a second.
Hey Matt, hey Tiny, it's Mike. I'm super tired. I'm driving home, and I just got out of the movie.
Went a little heavy on the Pine Tree Perfume there, kid.
Sir, it's a taxi cab air freshener.
Great, you've pinpointed it. Step 2 is washing it off.
Hey, Obsessive Viewer listeners, this is Mike. You can find me on Twitter at I am Mike White. Matt, Tiny, how you guys doing? So I just wanted to give you guys another installment of Pine Tree Potpourri. I'm in my car. I'm coming home from a movie night with my friend Jake, and we just saw The Bye-Bye Man. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. I think more than anything, it was frustrating. I like a good boogeyman in a movie, and so just the idea of the Bye-Bye Man as this boogeyman figure kind of intrigued me. I remember seeing the trailers last October, and I thought it was kind of interesting. The imagery of the boogeyman, of the Bye-Bye Man in the movie, I thought was interesting. But the movie just simply did not pull it off. The plot was incomprehensible. The biggest foul, aside from just poor acting, was the lack of mythology or explanation for the mythology. I don't quite understand the don't think it, don't say it, and there's a moment where our main protagonist is like being questioned by the police, and he's not allowed to say the Bye-Bye Man, but he can vaguely explain that something happened, but he can't quite explain why something happened, and just dance around the name the Bye-Bye Man. Otherwise, he'll spread the Bye-Bye Man. It's just idiotic plot, poor script writing, awful execution, and I highly recommend that you avoid the Bye-Bye Man at all costs. Believe what you've heard, and when it comes to the movie, The Bye-Bye Man, just make sure that you don't say it, don't see it, and don't think it. Nice talking to you guys. This is Mike. You can find me on Twitter. I am Mike White. Talk to you later, guys.
And thank you, Mike, for calling in with that. It's much appreciated, and we miss you dearly. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and go into our Potpourri section, which, if you're a first-time listener, Potpourri is a section of the podcast where we talk about whatever we want, as long as it smells good, anything that we're watching, anything we're looking forward to, just anything in general that has been on our movie or TV-addled minds. Tiny, I actually have a couple things, and you have one?
Yes, I have two. I have one super brief one and one like full potpourri.
Okay, do you want to get us kicked off with your super brief one?
Sure, yeah. It is super brief. The other day I was at my in-laws' house, and they have a giant 60-inch 4K television.
Nice. Very nice.
It's like top of the line. Mm-hmm. And we were just flipping through the channels, and I saw The Abyss.
Oh, nice.
It was being shown on one of the movie channels.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what version it was a theatrical version, because there's the director's cut in theatrical. Mm-hmm. It was theatrical, but it was in HD and 4K. And
Nice.
I've never seen The Abyss in HD because there's no Blu-ray of it. And the DVD version I have is full screen.
Yeah.
And so I haven't watched it in years for that reason. And it just, I know I've talked about it before on the podcast, but damn it, give us a Blu-ray of that freaking movie and remaster it already. Yeah, it's so worthy of a Blu-ray edition. Mm-hmm. Paige had never seen it before, and so she was really kind of dragged in by some of the
Okay.
pretty more intense scenes of that movie. So yeah, it was just like an awesome experience. It just kind of reignited my passion for that movie.
Nice.
And I just freaking anyone out there, please get us a Blu-ray of that damn movie.
It's so unbelievable that hasn't happened. I don't understand it.
I don't get it either.
Especially for someone as on the cutting edge of technology with his filmmaking. James Cameron does not do, like, I don't understand what the holdup is. Like, he has the resources to just, get that made, get that done.
Absolutely.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. It is his least famous work, pretty much. But still, we have Blu-rays of every other thing he's done.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, it's
that,
it's
and we're also waiting for True Lies.
Oh, really? There's no Blu-ray of True Lies? Oh, okay.
Correct. Yep.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie, but it's pretty stupid.
Right. But it's weird because it's weird. I don't know.
So yeah, I just wanted to mention that
cool.
really quickly. I really want to see that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I need to revisit The Abyss.
Yeah.
I did really like that movie.
Cool.
All right, so for my first potpourri, I'm going to bring up Hidden Figures.
Oh, okay.
The Oscar nominee for Best Picture and Best Supporting Actress, and I think a couple other ones. I can't remember. Hidden Figures is... I'm going to read the plot description real quick. Hidden Figures is the story of a team of African-American women mathematicians who served a vital role in NASA during the early years of the U.S. space program. So when I first saw the trailer for Hidden Figures, I wasn't too interested in it, to be honest. It just kind of seemed a little... even though it dealt with, the space program and a true story about the space program and an undertold story of the space program, it kind of seemed a little... overly sentimental in a weird way.
Yeah.
And it just didn't seem like it was really my kind of something that I would enjoy, really.
Got you.
So, and then I saw it because oddly enough, it got nominated for Best Picture. I honestly thought that it had just a January release. I didn't know that it had like a Oscar push in late 2016.
Gotcha.
And so I saw it, and honestly, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I am enamored with the thought of, the space program and, manned space flight.
Yeah.
That is something that I have a huge interest in, and seeing this story told was very interesting to me and held my interest a lot. And it's a story that you don't really ever hear about.
Yeah.
And also just, it depicts, some of the egregious, horrifying things from back then. That it's really weird to see.
Yeah.
Because it's jarring to see, and I don't know. It just like, I don't know. It's really unsettling to think, how relatively recent that was. And how despicable it was. But the movie itself is pretty good. It's solid. It's about what you'd expect from seeing the trailer. There's not really much that would really stand out to you. You see the trailer, it's kind of, exactly what you're getting into. I will say that the depiction of the space or the actual like rocket boosts and the space flight sequences are pretty well done. I thought that those looked really good.
Okay.
Yeah, and overall I thought that it was pretty good. It's a Best Picture nominee. I don't see it.
Oh, really?
I thought that it was quite good, but not Best Picture nominee worthy.
Not exceptional.
Yeah, it didn't, not really much of it. It didn't really stand out in a way, for me. Mm-hmm. It didn't really stand out. Gotcha. Also, Pharrell Williams did a lot of the music for it, which I like Pharrell. I do.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird because his music in the movie is kind of, it's he does. It's not. I mean, he has music. He has songs that he wrote for the movie that are inserted into the movie at times. Like kind of, it's sometimes it's in lieu of like an actual score, and it was just kind of distracting to me.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that it didn't really. I don't know. There were some things that sometimes where I was just like, I like the music, but it didn't really fit with what was going on, and
Gotcha.
so much of with a conventional score in a movie, like it conveys so much tone and everything that like that can really enhance the experience. But then when we have what we have here is a Pharrell Williams song that sounds like a Pharrell Williams song that is put into sequences that would have benefited more with a traditional score.
Okay.
But
Yeah, that sounds a little out of left field, I guess.
yeah. But it was still pretty good. I enjoyed it. I probably won't buy it or anything, but I do appreciate it and think that it was a well told story and a story that should be seen.
Cool. It's a big year for Janelle Monáe. She was in this and Moonlight.
Oh yeah, right.
I've never even really heard of her. I looked at her IMDb. She's known for her music, I guess.
Okay.
She's on the soundtrack of a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. I know her from something, but I can't place what it is.
Yeah.
But she's
pretty hot. She is.
And it's funny because also I'm gonna butcher his name.
Mahershala Ali.
Mahershala Ali. Yeah, he's also in this and Moonlight, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So big year for both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my first potpourri. It was okay.
Cool.
It was pretty good. Tiny, what's your next and last?
My next and last is Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. It has a super short synopsis on IMDb. A journalist recounts her wartime coverage in Afghanistan. Okay. I liked this movie. It wasn't like a super quirky female lead comedy movie like I thought it was going to be. It was more of it was definitely a comedy, but it was more of a kind of a serious look at what it's like to be a war journalist. Really, that's more of what it is, and kind of how this character was sort of kind of in corporate malaise, working for a news network, and just kind of bored with their job, and just decided to take up a position of a war journalist, basically. And so she kind of gets addicted to the adrenaline rush of reporting from a war zone and all that stuff, and she learns about what it's like, the consequences of doing that, and the risk involved with it, and all the politics involved of trying to operate out of a war zone. It's a serious look at it with some comedy thrown in, I would say. I just appreciate what they tried to do with the movie, because I feel like war journalism is kind of a underrepresented concept or story potential for storytelling, I think, because you're embedded with soldiers in a war. Like that's like super ballsy to do that, I think, and it's pretty cool, the stories that these people can come back with. The rest of the cast is phenomenal. The lead is Tina Fey. And I really liked her in this role. Again, it wasn't just some stupid comedy, or it was a little bit more of a serious turn for her, and I enjoyed her performance. It also has Margot Robbie, Martin Freeman, Alfred Molina is really funny in this, and Billy Bob Thornton plays kind of the lead Marine general that she deals with, that she gets embedded with. I really liked Billy Bob Thornton in this. As well as some other quality performances thrown in there. But yeah, it was was just kind of a fun story. I mean, it wasn't anything super exceptional. I feel the feeling it was a little bit overproduced. The writer, Robert Carlock, I think he probably had something else in mind. I think he wanted probably a little more gritty kind of movie, but I think they served the story pretty well.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't Robert Carlock her producing writing partner for like 30 Rock and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
Let's see. Yeah, he's known for SNL, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, 30 Rock. Yep.
Yay!
He's not familiar. He was a co-writer on the movie as well.
Gotcha.
The book Okay, it's based on a book by Kim Barker. The book is The Taliban Shuffle: Strange Days in Afghanistan and Pakistan. So I bet the book's really good. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It's like I said, it's not an exceptional. It's not an exceptional movie. I'm sure there's people who weren't that crazy about it, but I just like the concept of it's kind of broken down into the years that she spends in Afghanistan as a war reporter, and how it changes her, and how it's like this whole other universe that you kind of have to adjust and adapt to. Yeah, and I enjoyed it. Martin Freeman was great too. Alfred Molina was hilarious. Margot Robbie playing a role that wasn't just about her being super hot. So that was nice.
Nice.
Billy Bob Thornton again was great. So yeah, there's fun performances, and I think it's a cool idea for a movie. I enjoyed it. I haven't really heard much about the reception to it. It's got a 6.6 rating on IMDb, which is okay. Yeah, I recommend it. I thought it was fun. It's free on Amazon Prime if you have that. So.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Nice. I believe it's also available on Hulu as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's cool. So I'll kind of round us out for Potpourri with American Crime Story: The People vs. O.J. Simpson.
Nice.
Yes. So this is a series. I'll read the plot description, of course. It's an anthology series centered around some of history's most famous criminals, including O.J. Simpson. So season 1 is all about the O.J. Simpson trial. Season 2 is going to be about Hurricane Katrina.
Okay.
Yeah, it's from Ryan Murphy, who I flat out, I don't like the guy's work.
Yeah.
I really don't. I was, he's actually from Indianapolis. Interesting. Still don't care about him. Was never into Glee, couldn't get into Nip Tuck. And then American Horror Story, I've talked about ad nauseum. I couldn't get into it. And I actually recently, I don't believe that I talked about this on the podcast, or maybe I did, but I just recently tried to get back into American Horror Story, and I tried to watch the season in the hotel, like American Horror Story Hotel. And I mean, I turned it off after 10 minutes because it's like, I've gotten it down to the point that the reason I don't like American Horror Story, even though I love the concept of it, like it's an anthology series, each season tells a story that's all based around a theme. And every time they announce a theme, I think that could be cool. Like they had the hotel, they had, about the lost colony of Roanoke recently.
Huh.
I'm just like, these are really interesting concepts.
Yeah.
But I turned off Hotel after 10 minutes because they don't understand subtlety. Like nothing about that show is subtle at all. Like from the moment that from the opening scene of it, like we're just told through the way the camera moves and the sound of the score to be creeped out by the hotel. There's nothing, there's no build up to it. It's all just mood and it reminds me of that scene in Forgetting Sarah Marshall when Jason Segel's talking, he's drunk at the bar in Hawaii and he's talking about how the music for the NCIS or CSI type show that he does is all about mood and it's not creative.
Right.
And like, that's kind of how I feel about the tone of American Horror Story. So I like to actually get to my potpourri. I wasn't too eager to check out The People versus O.J. Simpson, honestly. I didn't even know that it came on to Netflix until I received a text from frequent guest Robert Feckus. He said 2 episodes into People versus O.J., I'm pretty hooked. And it's funny because I just thought like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. So I went ahead and watched the entire season.
Nice.
Over the weekend. And I gotta say, this show was really good.
Nice.
Yeah. Tiny, I'm gonna throw a question to you. When I took a sociology class once, the teacher introduced I don't remember what her point was or anything, but now that I think about it, may have actually been Intro to Media. But anyway, what's your like earliest TV memory?
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, probably Sesame Street or Reading Rainbow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That totally didn't go the way I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because in this class that I took, they asked like, what's everyone's first TV memory, and for the most part, everyone listed a news event, like a historical event.
Gotcha.
Like, I think I actually picked the Bronco chase.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I mean others picked like the Oklahoma City bombing, stuff like that. It's interesting because to kind of lead that into my review, it's interesting because I only remember pieces of it from my childhood, like what all happened. And I remember my parents talking about it and discussing it and everything because it was obviously a huge, huge event. And to see it kind of played out chronologically and played out throughout its entirety, throughout a 10-episode season of TV, it's really fascinating. And I watched it throughout the weekend. I would have had it finished probably like 3 or 4 hours before I actually finished it. But throughout it, I was like pausing it and I was looking up like YouTube videos of like the actual things that happened.
Wow.
And it's amazing just how much I forgot about it. Like the Mark Furman tapes and a lot of other stuff. But what I really liked about this show is that it doesn't outright say, like, it doesn't present the case as like with the thesis statement of this is how O.J. Simpson got away with murder, or this is why O.J. Simpson was found not guilty. It's, well, I mean, technically that's what the whole show is about, but it's not like it doesn't tell its narrative from the perspective of O.J. is guilty, O.J. is innocent. It basically unfolds in a really engaging way because the first like 20 minutes of the first episode is all pretty much devoted to showing us how airtight of a case they had against O.J. Simpson.
Right.
And it is so fascinating because like that got me really hooked because obviously that he was found not guilty. And it's just like the whole time, like every time that they were showing something in those first 20 minutes, I was thinking, how did this happen? And it's just really fascinating because it's not portrayed as clearly he did it. It's just like, here's the evidence. Here's what happened at the trial. Here's how we got to that. And it doesn't really go one way or the other with the narrative. And it's really fascinating. It's really satisfying because there are some things about it that are pretty good. So while they don't really come down one way or the other about whether or not he's guilty or innocent, they do have some really interesting stuff throughout it. Like David Schwimmer plays Robert Kardashian, and he has an arc throughout it that's really kind of gripping. That he is kind of the conscience of the defense. Like he's the like old time friend of O.J. Simpson, who's kind of throughout the course of the show he's kind of realizing like, oh shit, I think O.J. did this. And it's really like there is one scene in particular that is really kind of powerful, to be honest. It's a really great scene between him and another character. It's after the DNA evidence is shown in the trial, and it's just this really great scene where he's just kind of where Kardashian is kind of taking in like the information that's been told in the courtroom, and he's kind of just he's at this mental crossroads where he's like, did he do it? Did he not do it? It's really great the way that it's conveyed in the show. And then there are some things that I took issue with. They're kind of minor, but it's kind of silly. This is a narrative show. It's completely, it's a fictionalized account.
Mm-hmm.
it's not filmed like a mockumentary, or it's not a documentary style thing. However, I wish that they would have taken the time to just show like a title card for each character in the first episode. Not because it was hard to keep them apart, to tell them apart or anything. It's because the writing was like, the dialogue was like really bad. It was like anytime they introduce a character, it was like they're like, one of the opening scenes is they're at the crime scene. The police are at the crime scene, and then they're like, "Oh wow, this is Nicole Brown Simpson. This is O.J. Simpson's wife. We need to notify O.J. Simpson. Does anyone know where he lives?" And then the camera just swoops across the room to a guy there, and then he's like, "I'm Detective Mark Furman. I know where he lives." Just like, okay, come on. And there's like, I think David Schwimmer's introduction was, "I'm Robert Kardashian."
Oh my god!
It's like you can like just show them on it. Like
Right.
you can make it. You can have that little flourish of having the names on it to introduce the characters.
It's a lot less clumsy.
Yeah, it was so goofy, and I mean there are other goofy parts there, like throughout it, like some of the dialogue is just really, really, really terrible throughout the run of the show, really. But it wasn't too much of a distraction. Like there are things like OJ is freaking out. Who OJ is played by Cuba Gooding Jr., and I think he did a phenomenal job. Mm-hmm. After the first few episodes, he is kind of just, I mean, he's almost like just a background character.
Yeah.
Because it's all about Marsha Clark and the defense, and in there's even an episode about the jurors, which was really cool. But like there's a moment kind of early on, like before the Bronco chase, where OJ is freaking out, threatening to kill himself, and they're in Kardashian's house, and he says, he says, "Juice, please don't do this. Please don't kill yourself in my daughter's room. Don't kill yourself in Kimmy's room." It's like they make these little shots at like the future of the Kardashian name. It's like, come on, we don't need that. Ugh. And like there was a whole scene where he's taking his kids to dinner or something, and they're all talking at the table, like at a restaurant, and then he goes into this like a speech about how important it is to honor truth and not be. It came down to the point, I don't remember the exact words, but it was like something to the effect of it's not honorable to be famous for being famous, or something like that. It's like it's goofy, it's out of place. Yeah. But I mean, a lot of the stuff, like with those issues, it's still a really well done season of television that really dug deep into an unbelievable like cultural thing in our history.
Right.
That was really, really great. And let's see, Courtney B. Vance was Johnny Cochran. I think he did a phenomenal job. Like there are so many really good performances throughout it. Sterling K. Brown played Chris Darden, one of the prosecutors. That his whole arc throughout it was really good. Nice. And Sarah Paulson as Marsha Clark was fantastic.
Awesome.
Yep. And then John Travolta played Robert Shapiro. I mean, he did fine. It was a weird performance. It was, I don't know, there was something about it that just made my skin crawl a little bit, and I think that was maybe intentional, but
yeah,
it was kind of weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then finally, last point about that is Evan Handler played Alan Dershowitz, and he was really great.
I love Evan Handler.
Oh, he is phenomenal in it. Like he's barely recognizable.
Yeah.
But he's really great in it.
Nice.
But yeah, and then I mentioned on the Facebook group, I asked what people thought of it, and Fecus said, "Just finished it today. I loved it, though I still can't take David Schwimmer seriously. It's amazing how accurate it is, and it did a great job showing the cultural impact of this trial. But he did it. Just saying." And yeah, I'm falling under that same, like, it's...
Most people consider it.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, it's mind-blowing how much that trial should have been a slam dunk.
Right.
It is, and that's one of the most fascinating things about the show is that it's all there. Like, it's unbelievable. But yeah, so it was really good. One other thing about it is that, and I had a similar thought when we saw Straight Outta Compton.
Mm-hmm.
So the opening moments of this series, of the show, like, it opens up with a montage of the Rodney King beating and the LA riots, like quick cuts of footage of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when seeing that, all I thought was, like, throughout that first episode, I was like, I kind of wish that they would have made that season 1 and then done OJ in season 2. Like, just have the Rodney King thing and the LA riots and everything be all season 1. And I still wish that was the case.
Yeah. They could do it in the future.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, season 2 is going to be Katrina. We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
But yeah, I was very, very pleasantly surprised with the People versus O.J. Simpson, and I recommend people check it out. Tiny, I think you would get a ton out of this.
Oh, I'm sure I'd love it.
Yeah. I can almost guarantee you would.
Yeah.
Because you are an unmitigated racist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
No. You have a criminal justice degree. And
right.
You know.
Paige and I watched the documentary series they did recently about it.
Nice.
I don't even remember what it was called, but
OJ Made in America?
Yes.
The whole thing?
We watched part. I don't think we saw the
Okay.
whole thing, but we saw parts of it.
Okay, because I know it's like 7.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Or 8 hours long.
Yeah, we saw parts of it. It was interesting. It was
Nice.
really interesting.
The ESPN documentary?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. We saw some documentary. I don't even know if that was it.
Yeah.
Paige watched it, and I was just kind of joined in, and I was like, yeah, it's actually pretty good. So,
Okay,
yeah.
nice. Yeah, OJ Made in America is on Hulu. I want to see it, but I mean, it's like 7.5 hours.
Right.
It's actually nominated for Best Documentary.
Right. I heard that, yeah.
So that is Potpourri. Do you have anything else, Tiny?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, on that note, if you like what you've heard and you want to support the podcast, please head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review. The more ratings and reviews we get, the easier it will be for people to find the show in iTunes' search results. And if you want to show your support with your wallet, you can do that by clicking the donate button on obsessiveviewer.com for a one-time donation, or by clicking the donate link in the show notes of this episode. Those show notes, by the way, can be found at obsessiveviewer.com/OV204. And you can also become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer, where you can choose from several different reward tiers. Any and all donations made will help pay the fees to keep the podcast running so we can continue to provide you with our weekly podcast content. And once again, thank you to Horror Movie Yearbook and the Midwest Podcast Network for sponsoring this week's episode. Find them at HM Yearbook and at horrormovieyearbook.com. The links to all that can be found in the show notes. All right, well, on that note, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast app. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. You can email the hosts individually at Matt, Tiny, or Mike at obsessiveviewer.com, or send an email to the podcast in general at podcast@obsessiveviewer.com. Check out the Obsessive Viewer blog at obsessiveviewer.com, where we post movie and TV reviews and the occasional editorial about the business of entertainment. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer and follow us on Twitter at obsessiveviewer, at obsessivetiny, and at IamMikeWhite. If you want more obsessive content in your life, check out our sister site, obsessivebooknerd.com, for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the podcatcher of your choice. Again, thank you so much for listening. We love you. Be excellent to each other.